Hey there. Ready for a deep dive into AI image generation?
Always.
This week, we're checking out issue hashtag 74 of the Synthetic Work newsletter. And let me tell you,
Hmm.
it's a wild one.
Yeah.
It feels like AI image generation just hit hyperspeed.
You know, it's funny you should say that. What really struck me about this issue
Yeah.
was how much it goes beyond just the wow factor of the tech itself.
Yeah.
It really digs into the implications of this rapid evolution, and that's what makes it so thought-provoking.
I totally agree. And we've all seen those early AI images, right?
Right.
Blurry, a little strange.
Definitely.
This newsletter, though, jumps right into how things have changed.
Okay.
And they use this new model, FLUX Dev, as their example.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. It's open access, which is huge in itself.
Right.
But then they showed what it could do, and oh my God, like
Yeah.
that Superman one.
Hmm.
It looked like a movie poster, like seriously.
And the crazy part is that the AI community basically unlocked FLUX Dev in, get this, like 20 days.
What?
Yeah, 20 days. The newsletter makes a big deal about that. And for good reason, because
Yeah.
it just shows how fast things are moving.
It's insane.
Totally. What was groundbreaking last month is old news.
It really makes you wonder about photographers, you know?
Seriously.
Like, what's the point when you can just conjure up whatever image you can imagine with AI,
It's a good question.
right?
And the newsletter kind of hits on that. It argues that this isn't just about, making prettier pictures. It's
Yeah.
about a fundamental shift in how we experience visuals and consume content, period.
It's like when we talk about the metaverse, right?
Yes.
This feels like a massive leap in that direction.
Yeah. 100%. But instead of those blocky avatars, we're talking hyper-realistic environments and scenarios, all thanks to AI.
Okay, so I have to admit, I'm a little skeptical of VR still.
Right.
But this newsletter, the way they describe these experiences, like,
Yeah.
all right, maybe this is the future after all.
Well, the author actually tries out the Apple Vision Pro,
Yeah.
the new headset, and he describes it as this totally immersive experience, almost like you're stepping into another reality.
See, that's what I mean.
Right.
Like, that sounds incredible.
It does.
And then you layer AI-generated content on top of that.
Exactly. That's where it gets really wild. The newsletter suggests that the combo of these immersive technologies with AI could create experiences almost impossible to distinguish from reality itself.
Okay, now that is both exciting and terrifying at the same
I
time.
know, right?
It really makes you think about where the line is, between the digital and the real.
Absolutely. And that leads to what I thought was the most interesting part of this whole issue, this idea of synthetic work.
Oh, yeah, synthetic work. That's where the newsletter goes full sci-fi.
Right.
Working inside these AI-generated realities.
Yeah.
What is that?
Hmm.
So synthetic work, it's like we're all going to live in a video game.
Well, not exactly a video game,
Yep.
but the newsletter does make this comparison to like how we went from TV to our smartphones, right? We're
Right.
spending more and more time in these digital spaces,
Sure.
but you can't really like earn a living just scrolling through your phone.
I mean, unless you're an influencer.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
But even influencers got to pay the bills. The point is, for this whole immersive tech thing to really work, there needs to be a way to work inside these AI-generated realities, hence synthetic work.
So we're talking about like actual jobs, but inside these virtual spaces.
Yeah.
What would that even look like?
See, that's the fascinating part. The newsletter doesn't really give all the answers.
Right.
It's more about asking the questions, getting you to imagine what's possible.
Yeah.
But they do have some examples, like imagine architects, right? Designing virtual buildings that people experience through VR.
Oh, wow.
Or therapists conducting sessions in these AI-crafted environments that are designed for their patients.
Okay, yeah. When you put it like that,
Right.
it starts to make a little more sense. And it's not like we don't have these little glimpses already.
Think about esports. People are making a living playing video games.
That's a great example. Or even think about creators on social media.
Oh, yeah.
People are building careers by creating and engaging with online content. So the newsletter argues that synthetic work is like taking these trends and pushing them even further,
Okay, I see what you mean.
blurring those lines even more between the real and virtual.
So instead of just making content for these platforms,
Yeah.
we'd be working, like living, maybe even thriving inside them.
Exactly. It's a pretty out there idea. The newsletter admits that.
Sure.
And of course, it comes with a ton of questions and challenges,
Right.
but it's a conversation we got to have, especially with AI moving as fast as it is.
Absolutely. And speaking of AI and how fast it's moving,
Yeah.
the newsletter also gets into some of the actual tools that are driving everything.
Did you see that section on the open access AI models?
Oh, yeah, that was really interesting, especially the part about LM Studio.
Yes. And that new feature
Right.
where you can basically just chat with your documents.
It's amazing.
At first I thought, okay, cool, but how is this as cool as AI generating photorealistic images?
Yeah, I know, right?
But the more I read,
Yeah.
the more I realized, oh, this is a big deal for businesses especially.
It is huge. Think about it. Right now, we have all these super powerful AI model.
Like ChatGPT?
Right, ChatGPT, but they're all centralized, meaning you're basically handing your data over to someone else.
Right?
And a lot of companies, especially those dealing with sensitive information, they aren't cool with that,
Yeah, data privacy is a hot topic these days.
to say the least. And that's why I think this approach that LM Studio is taking is so interesting because by letting users run these open access models locally,
Yeah.
they still benefit from these large language models, but they stay in control of their data.
So it's like having your own personal ChatGPT, but way more secure.
Precisely. And the newsletter talks about how LM Studio has made it so user-friendly,
Okay.
even for people who aren't, coding experts.
That's huge. The more people who understand this stuff and can use it, the
Exactly.
faster we're going to see innovation everywhere.
Absolutely. And they even get into the weeds about running these models yourself, like cost and hardware, all that.
Which is great for people who want to get technical, but for the average person,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway here?
I think the biggest thing is that access to these really powerful AI tools, it's becoming more democratic.
Okay.
It's not just these huge tech companies anymore, smaller companies, startups, even individuals
Wow.
can use these technologies to automate tasks, analyze data, even create new stuff.
It's kind of empowering when you think about it.
It is.
But of course, with great power comes.
Responsibility.
Right.
The newsletter definitely does not ignore that aspect.
Yeah.
They talk about the risks, like the spread of misinformation through AI-generated content.
Yeah, it's like seeing is believing doesn't even apply anymore.
Exactly. And they give an example about this company that was bragging about using AI for their product photography.
Hmm.
But when the author dug a little deeper, it turns out they were really just using Photoshop, maybe with a little AI sprinkled in.
It's getting harder and harder to tell what's real.
I know, right?
Like anyone could be an illusionist now with the right tech.
It's true, and the lines get blurry fast.
So how do we even know what to believe anymore?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels like it.
The newsletter really stresses, thinking critically and being skeptical.
Yeah.
Don't just take these big claims at face value. Look for evidence, look for results, try to understand the tech behind it all.
Easier said than done sometimes.
I know, it's like this minefield of marketing jargon.
Exactly.
But, even with all that, I think the newsletter is cautiously optimistic about AI image generation.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a doomsday prediction or anything.
I agree. The author definitely sees the challenges, but they're excited about what's possible too.
Mhm. Right. It's about finding that balance, using the power of this tech, but being real about its limits.
For sure. And they back it up with some really cool examples of AI being used in new ways.
Totally.
Like we were talking about that concert teaser The Weeknd put out.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing.
Pure AI artistry.
Yeah, and the newsletter also mentions Mid-Journey.
Right. And the big one.
Huge. And they just opened up their web interface to everyone.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Right. It's huge for accessibility. Now anyone can really experiment with this stuff.
It's like we're giving a paintbrush to everyone who's ever wanted to be an artist.
Exactly.
What are we going to see?
I have no idea. I mean, that's what's so exciting, right? We're just getting started. As this tech gets better and better, who knows what incredible things we'll see.
It's a future full of potential,
And uncertainty.
which I guess makes it more interesting.
Definitely.
So, listener name. We want to hear from you. Check out issue #74 of Synthetic Work and let us know, are we on the edge of a synthetic revolution? Or is this just a passing trend?
One thing's for sure, this technology is making us ask some big questions about creativity, about work, even about what's real and what's not.
And that's why we love diving into this stuff. It's not just ones and zeros. It's about how we're going to shape the future with the tools we're building. And if AI can already make these crazy realistic images, what happens when it can create entire experiences? Exciting and a little scary, right?
Totally. Lots to think about as we head into this uncharted territory.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep on diving deep.
We'll see you next time.